Okay, so we're in season 2 or episode 1. So I have a new series. I kept saying the word series on accident. I should have just been saying season, but anyway, I spoiled it. But it's gonna be a new series. It's gonna be my first ever series, and it's gonna be called "How to Create a Strong First Impression." Simple title, but it's a simple concept, but a lot of people fail to do it. So what is this series all about, you're probably asking? So there are people out there, and I know they want to find their dream wife, their dream husband. But when it comes to dating, and when they try to date those people who fit that criteria, they feel like, maybe they're getting overlooked. If you're a guy, you feel like you're getting friend zoned a lot, you're getting rejected. Maybe you feel like you're getting, your heart broken, whatever, it's not working. And what I've noticed sometimes, if they don't know what to do, they have a tendency to start believing that, there must be something inherently wrong, like with me. Like there must be a reason why I'm getting overlooked. And normally what happens is people tend to look, at the physical. They come to the conclusion basically that, I must not be attractive enough. And then what I see is they start compromising on their dream criteria, meaning that they start settling. And when I say settle, it doesn't mean you don't readjust your, the list that you have, but settling, I mean, where you say, I want someone to treat me with respect, and you allow that person not to treat you with respect. That's settling. So what people tend to do, they tend to, I like to call majoring on the minors and minor on the majors. So what does that mean? They put focus on things that really aren't that important in the long run. It's like, so they'll put stuff on, this is why here, I wish I was taller. I wish I was shorter. I wish my hair looked like, like hers. Or I wish, in my case, I wish I had hair. I don't like how my nose looks, or I have ugly feet. It's just, ridiculous stuff like that. So basically what people are doing is they're picking physical traits that they have little to no control over. And they're making them out to be these huge deals. And they're like, oh man, if only I could change this and I could change that, then I would be able to get the person I wanted. And so these physical attributes, at the end of the day, they really don't make that much of a difference. And that's why I say they're majoring on the minors and they're minoring on the majors. So they're focusing on all the little things. Because here's the truth: for every physical attribute that you can have, like, hair type, eye color, height, nose shape, etc., there's a person who prefers that. I mean, there's people out there who are looking for someone with those characteristics. And so there's people who aren't, and you're just focused on the people who aren't. And so then you think that your issue is these attributes, and it's not. So in this series, that's what I'm going to go over. I'm going to help people learn what exactly to focus on so that they can, they can create a better first impression. Because if you create a better first impression, by doing that, you'll also be making yourself more attractive. It's just a win-win. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people get stuck thinking that, either, hey, I was just born this way. There's some kind of genetic lottery when you're born, and there's people who, if you win it, you got it. And if you don't, you don't, and that's it. And you're just going to be ugly for the rest of your life if you didn't get it. And that's not true. So I'm going to help you figure out ways to make yourself more desirable, to make yourself more attractive, to make yourself, a more attractive option while you're out there dating, to have people look at you. So you may be thinking, okay, so we're going to go through these areas, but what I want to do is I want to kind of slow down a little bit, and I want to talk about first impressions and why they're so important. So I think it's obvious. I think for the most part, we know first impressions are important, but I think we forget how important they are. Like I'll say a first impression can be the difference between getting a first date or not. And it can also be the difference between going on a second date or not. So first impressions, they can be in person, You know what I'm saying? Or they can be, some kind of digital online. Will probably be a picture, maybe a short video or whatever. But again, I did some research. I did some research for you. So I'm gonna read you just two little clips about first impressions and why they're important. So this was from some research done. It said that people develop first impressions of you even before you open your mouth. So even if you think you're a smooth talker or whatever, it doesn't matter, because people are forming these impressions of you before you even open your mouth. And then the research shows that your appearance affects how trustworthy, promiscuous, and powerful people think you are. You can change some people's first impressions of you by changing your behavior and how you present yourself. So let's go back over that. So the first thing is, your first impressions suggest to people how trustworthy you are, how promiscuous you are, and how powerful people think you are. So if we take this into dating, obviously trustworthy. If you're looking for a lifelong fulfilling relationship, if you want marriage, you want one that's long lasting, having someone who's trustworthy is going to be helpful. Someone who says, you're my one and only, and you can know that you are actually that one and only, is a big deal. You don't want someone to tell you, yeah, I paid for the bills, and then you find out you see an eviction notice on your door because they didn't go pay for the bill. They went out shopping or something. Like you want somebody who's trustworthy. So promiscuous. I don't know if you guys, I watch a lot of things, or all things relationships, on YouTube, Instagram. So I'm constantly following things. I hear a lot of stuff from the red pill, feminists. I hear it all, and it's one thing that's surprisingly become more obvious lately, or at least people are talking more about it, is how men don't want to marry a promiscuous woman. Like there used to be this idea out there like that, and so people are kind of talking against it, and that's right. And then if you're a Christian, obviously you should be living your life the way God tells you to live it. So obviously sex outside of marriage is a no. So then obviously you really, the only place you could really be promiscuous is, I guess, the most place would be outside of marriage. You could be married, and still be promiscuous. It can be men and women, but technically, normally when we think of promiscuous, we think of women. That's just how our culture is, but it can be men and women. So anyway, just from your appearance, before you even open your mouth, people get an idea on how trustworthy, promiscuous, and powerful that you are. So what I would say, I guess, for powerful is, as far as dating, I would say people can see your confidence, how confident you are, and maybe even how competent you are, especially women looking at men. Like, are you a man who can get things done, or, are you just some kind of yes man or whatever? Are you going to be assertive? They pick up on cues before you even open your mouth. So first impressions are important. So let me read you something else. This was by psychologicalscience.org. So first impressions are long lasting. This familiar phrase indicates one of the many reasons that studying people's first impressions is critical for social psychologists. Any information about a person, from their physical properties to their nonverbal and verbal behaviors, and even the environment they inhabit, influences our impressions and judgments about them. First impressions have been shown to last for months, and they affect personal judgments even in the presence of contradictory evidence about the individual. So let me break that. I'm gonna break that down. So the first thing is, first impressions are long lasting. I don't know, and maybe it was just me. Maybe I was just confused. But I see other people doing the same thing, so I guess it can't be me. But I used to think like, oh, you know, as long as they get to know me, it'll be all right. Like I didn't place like I knew it was important, but I didn't really place too much of an emphasis on first impressions. And that's not just in relationships. I mean, like not in the romantic relationships. It was any kind of relationship. And so, but now I realize if you mess up on a first impression, there may not be any getting to know you. That might be it, and they might be on to the next person, and yeah, you already lost it on that one. So first impressions are long lasting. So you need to understand that the impression, the way you present yourself, like it was, and we'll go over this a little more, but the way you present yourself is communicating to people, and they're forming opinions about you. Like the first statement said, before you even open your mouth. So it's important because this is going to have a lasting imprint on them for months. So it's important to start off on the right foot, because if you start off on the right foot, instead of starting in the hole, you start off in the positive, and then you'll be fighting a downhill battle instead of an uphill battle. You know what I'm saying? This person will already be into you and already think that you're a good person. So you have months to quit making mistakes so that they can keep that impression of you for as long as possible. So let me read a little bit more. So it says studying person's first impressions is critical. And then it says any information about a person from their physical properties to their nonverbal and verbal behaviors, and even the environment they inhabit. So let's go over that again. Okay, so nonverbal and verbal behaviors. So a lot of this is, I would say, nonverbal would be body language. So, how do you carry yourself? Are you walking with your head up? Are you making appropriate eye contact? Don't just be staring at people's souls for 5 minutes straight without blinking. You may get the police called on you. But yeah, nonverbal behaviors, and then there's verbal behaviors. So like, how do you talk? Do you talk with confidence? Are you like real soft spoken? Because people are going to make different judgments about you, especially if you're a man and you're being soft spoken. They're probably going to think that you are unsure about yourself. And one thing that women like is confidence. And if you seem unsure about yourself, it's going to be hard for other people to to bet on you too. And then the environment that you inhabit. So I think that's important, because the environment that we inhabit, guess what? It also has to deal with our friends. They say birds of a feather flock together. And one of the good ways to, like, if you're dating someone and you want to know if they're a good person, is like, see the people they're close to. Who are they around? What type of people are they? And that's usually an easier way to see it, is because you're not going to be, you're not going to have a crush on them or whatever you want to call it. You're not going to have these butterflies and stuff about these other people. So you should be more objective about what type of friends they have. So that's another way to tell this person. They say that you are the average of the 5 closest people around you. So, who you're around is important. And then where you're at, your environment. Like, if you're in places you shouldn't be, people are going to be like, they're going to be a little wonder. Let me put it this way. If, let's say they meet you at a board meeting, or they meet you right outside and you're like, oh, hey, yeah. Maybe it's someone there, and you ask for help. You walk into some office and you're like, hey, I need to get to, the board meeting, blah, 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 blah. And it just happens to be someone walking around, and maybe they're interested in them, and you decide you want to, maybe also want to date them. But their first impression of you is you were in the office and you were asking to go to a boardroom meeting. So they're gonna judge you by that. And she's gonna be, in a good light. It's like, oh, okay, this person probably has a successful career. As opposed, I'm trying to think of another one that would be a bad first impression. Is I can't think of one right now, but you can see how your first impressions, just by where you are, where you meet, and then maybe, and even what you're doing, helps people form ideas about you. So let's see what else. First impressions have been shown to last for months, and they affect personal judgments, even in the presence of contradictory evidence about the individual. So what does this say? This says it's important for you to get this right and get it right the first time, because if you don't, it'll take you months of consistently proving the opposite thing before they believe you. Basically, you could be a good guy, but if they, for some reason, I don't know, maybe you drive up on a motorcycle and then you I don't know, you kick someone else's motorcycle over. I don't know. You do something that makes you look like a bad person. That's what they're going to think about you for months until you can prove over and over and over and over and over again that you're not. So this is why it's important for a few things. It's important to make sure that you accurately present yourself. All right. Because this is why people can fake being something else that they're not for a few months. And then people start realizing, hey, I've seen instance after instance after instance of this person not lining up with who I thought they were at first. I thought they were this type of person, and now I'm seeing, no, that's not them at all. And they were interested in other type of person, so now that's why they're leaving you. So there's that, and there's also the understanding of you want to come across as your best self as possible, as early as possible, because then they'll see the best in you for at least for a few months, like they said. So you got a good few months where they think you're great. It's just, let me give you a story. So this is a story to illustrate this. I was probably, I think I was like in middle school. I don't know. I was like maybe 7th grade, and I met this girl at the summer camp, and I don't know. Don't even ask. I don't know. For some reason, I thought it would be funny to make up a whole bunch of stories. And I don't know. I was trying to be funny, I think, anyway, but I was trying to impress this girl, and I was talking to her, and I was making up all these, and I think they were obvious lies. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were obvious lies. But then once I got to know her, after I broke the ice and stuff, when I would try to tell her something that was honestly the truth, she didn't believe me. And, and it was just like simple things of like, if I got into a certain school or blah, 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 or whatever. And so, now that I'm thinking about it, it was probably for the next few months, I had to prove everything I said to her, because I presented myself the first time I met her. Her first impression of me was that, I make up stories that I lie. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, I can't do this again, because this is a lot of work trying to convince somebody things that I think are just simple baseline stuff, that it's the truth and that they can trust me. Because for the most part, I would say 98, 99% of the time, I'm telling the truth, even if it's, immediately it doesn't, what's the term? So I tell the truth even if there's something negative that could happen because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like if your parents ask you what your grades were in school, and you tell them, yeah, I got all F's, and you don't try to lie and try to change the letters or something, or try to hack into the database. Or like, if you're at work and you're late, and, people try to come up with lies. Oh man, I was, a meteor hit the street, and, I barely made it. And that's why I'm, 30 minutes late. I would just tell the truth. I was like, okay, that's my bad. I woke up late, and, my whatever. And so I'm gonna correct it. That's me. So it was frustrating to me, and she was actually a good person. And so I learned a lesson the hard way, that first impressions are important. So we're coming to the end of our podcast, and I'm excited about this new series. So the next episode, we're going to start diving into the actual areas that are going to help you make a great first impression, a strong first impression. So just remember, if this has been helpful to you, or if you liked it, make sure you subscribe. And if you disagree with anything I said, keep it to yourself. No, I'm just saying, if you want to add anything to this conversation, please put it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about first impressions. Let me know if there's things that you have questions about, like how to start off. Of course, I don't want to spoil exactly everything I'm gonna go over. So right now it's a little mystery. I'm trying to leave a little suspense. But yeah, it'll be fun. So make sure you subscribe so you'll know the next time this comes out. And again, you can follow me on Instagram at Relationships Ain't Easy with no apostrophe. And you'll get little sneak peeks. All right. Well, you guys have a good one, and I will see you later.